The biggest mindfuck ever is when you're applying to a new job while you currently still have a job, right? Especially if there's like a performance review or goals for next year that you have to work on. Like, my only goal is to not work anymore. Do you understand that? I'm not setting goals for here. My goal is to not be here, okay? And I know my performance has not been good, okay? It's because I've been spending many hours a week not doing this job so I can leave this job, okay? Don't tell me I'm doing a bad job, okay? I just don't have time for your job, okay? Also, I very much stopped trying on my current job. So if I don't get that new job, I am very fucked. I'm weeks behind on everything. How do you keep the lights on when you don't even care if the lights are still on?
In today's business and financial news, let's discuss interviewing for another job while you already have a job. Why? Because in this economy, many people need more than one job or one source of income to survive. So no relaxing when you have at least one job. Nope, you gotta keep going and get more income because you never know if you are a day or two away from an unexpected layoff. We are only a day or two away from reaching 1,000 subscribers for our YouTube channel, so please subscribe to our channel because we need you. If you have been applying for jobs in this job market, you know how difficult it is to even get one job.
Okay, and submit.
Thank you for submitting your application. Unfortunately, we regret to inform you that we will be moving forward with other candidates at this time.
I put my 2 weeks into my job, and lately it's been really hard to find a new job. I am, from the grace of God, just allowing myself to just be in the moment, figure out what I really want to do with my life. So I'm moving back home with my parents for a bit. And I just been applying to just any job that you could think of, serving, bartending, doing entrepreneurship. And I just came to realize it's crazy how I went to school for 4 years, got a degree in journalism, applied to my degree, right? And they all keep saying that I need experience after working professionally in my degree for 2 years. Most of the jobs on LinkedIn say 2+ or 2 to 4 years, and they're still saying I need more skills or more experience, more. And I'm like, bro, I went to school, got a degree, and I also did internships. I network with so many people, and this is still not enough. And I understand the hiring or the job market right now sucks. It's been horrible for so many years, and it just sucks because it should not be an excuse. I think that it needs to be changed. Like, the system needs to be changed because it's gonna come to the point where,
not to sound like a Karen, but like, why is our job market so screwed up right now? Like, why is it so messed up? Like, I remember, like, before the pandemic, you could walk in to a lot of different places and be like, hey, I need a job. And they'd be like, cool, okay. Then we get a manager, and then the manager asks you like 5 questions, and they're like, awesome, you're hired for this minimum wage job that pays like $10 an hour. But now I'm in need of a job, and I'm like, all right, like, minimum wage job's better than nothing. And I'm going into these minimum wage job places, asking to speak to a manager, and everyone's like, oh, apply. So I apply online, and it's been like a week, 2 weeks, and I still haven't heard anything. I'm like, why is it taking like over a 2-week turnaround for a minimum wage job? Like, why is it so hard to get a minimum wage job? Like, I don't understand. Why is it so hard?
Many find it easier to find a job when they already have a job. Do you find this to be the case?
I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're on a really tough job search and you have to accept a job that you're not really excited about to pay the bills, it's totally okay. And on top of that, you can keep on looking for a new job. In fact, it's a lot easier to find a job when you have a job versus not having a job. There's less pressure when you go into the interview because you know you already have a job, you have specific examples you can talk about, and you're not going to get asked the questions like, explain the gap on your resume, or why aren't you working? The only question you'll have to answer is, why are you looking for a job right away? And you can just say something like, I'm always looking to increase responsibilities, there isn't a culture fit, or my favorite, make it about the company. Hey, I know I just started at this position, but I saw this position posted, and based on what you have on the website, it looks like it aligns with my mission, and your culture is exactly what I'm looking for. Either way, if you need to take a job in the meantime that isn't ideal, do it. There's nothing wrong with that, and it can be a great strategy to get you back on your feet in the job search. And realistically, the next job you get isn't going to be the job that you work at for the rest of your life.
The subreddit is entitled, "How do you do interviews while also working full-time? Obviously don't want current employer to know I'm looking. How do you book interviews during the workday, for example? I guess just take time off and say it's medical or personal. Also, how do you hide your interview attire? I'll be going into work on Monday in a skirt, blouse, and cardigan. Totally not what I normally wear because I'll commute to interview straight from work. How do you manage interviews, working, and hiding the fact that you're looking? Any advice is appreciated."
How do I interview if I work during the times when people want to schedule interviews? That is a very common question. So first of all, there's the old, like, I have a doctor's appointment excuse that a lot of people use, but you can only have so many doctor's appointments. One tip that I've been using, and it's been pretty effective, is to set up a Calendly account. You can get a free account, put your days and times of availability for interviews on it, and share it with recruiters when you apply for your role. That way they can see your availability and schedule something. It's not uncommon for recruiters to schedule interviews outside of traditional business hours, so providing those days and times you're available ahead of time is really helpful. You could also maybe mention it in your cover letter as well. If you would like to speak further with me about this opportunity, I can be reached during these days and times, as another way to let them know what your availability is.
All right, let's see some of the responses. Someone said, "It's a pain. Thank goodness all of mine have been Zoom interviews. I've been using work from home days and PTO days." Someone says, "Seriously, virtual interviews are a lifesaver. If I know the interview won't be more than an hour, I'll usually take my lunch break around the time of the interview and step out of the office building or to my car, change clothes, and have my interview away from prying eyes." Someone said, "Why are you changing clothes? You're sharing video while sitting in your car?" And they respond, "Yes, I've done virtual interviews from my car. It's not the ideal situation, but given the circumstances of still being employed at my current job while job hunting, most of the interviews I've initially spoken with are aware and understanding of the situation."
Does this look professional, guys? Does it? This is your reminder maybe to not take your interview in your car if you were thinking about that. What it does show is that you're not making your job search a priority, and it's kind of disrespectful to the interviewer. So if you actually want the job, maybe do it in an office with some great lighting.
Someone suggests, "You have a dentist appointment. Bring your interview clothes to work and change in the bathroom on your way out, or your car if you have one." Someone else says, "Dentist is great because if you get a second interview, you can just say they found a cavity and need to get it filled." I once changed at a gas station bathroom across the street from my office. A colleague was at the gas station getting a snack, and he spotted me. It was super obvious what I was doing, and he gave me a nod and didn't say anything. Respect.
Okay, this is probably going to be a really unpopular opinion, but yes, you should take the interview. And I say that because you can't get too comfortable at your job. Yes, you have a good job, but what if there's a better job for you? And even with all of this recession talk going on, right? Well, how do you know that your current job won't lay you off because of this recession? So you see it's risk on both sides. And even if you absolutely love your job, still take like 1 to 2 interviews a year, because interviewing is a skill. And if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And so what happens is that people, they will like lose their job unexpectedly or have to like be thrown back into a job search out the blue. And they're like, oh my God, I haven't interviewed in forever, right? And so you start freaking out because the skill is dead. So take like 1 or 2 interviews a year just to keep that skill fresh.
But what if there is not internet access around you to do the interview besides your workplace? I'm doing an interview tomorrow during lunch break, but my computer and iPad don't have cellular service. However, my current position is only for the summer. Well, then it shouldn't matter if it's only for the summer. We dressed casually in my office. One day I commented to a supervisor that he looked very professional in his button-down shirt since he usually wears jeans and a t-shirt. He grimaced and said, "Yeah, I need to do the laundry." Zoom and Teams meeting have been a blessing in that regard. Be honest with the recruiter or hiring manager. They might be accommodating and do an after-hours interview. Heck, I ended up having a Saturday interview on the last round of interviews. Okay, so the new potential employer was flexible. That's helpful.
It is so hard to interview and have a job at the same time. Literally, interviewing is a full-time job. I have 3 different tips to help you get through this. So the first thing you can do is take PTO. or sick day. Second thing you could do is say you have a doctor's appointment. So you can leave for an hour or two and have a doctor's appointment or a therapy session or something like that while you're actually interviewing. And the third thing you can do is interview before or after work. So you could do maybe an interview from 7 to 9, 8 to 10, and then after work, which could be more like 5 to 7.
When I worked in business casual attire offices, we'd tease people when we saw them dressed up. What time's your interview? But seriously, I tried to schedule my interviews early in the AM or at the end of the day, or sometimes take an extended lunch. Leave nice shoes and jacket in the car, wear comfy shoes and ratty sweater to the office to dress down your outfit. If it's a virtual interview, head to the closest library and use your phone instead of doing the interview from home. Good luck. That's a good example. The one person said that they didn't have internet access, and this person suggests you could go to the closest library. Maybe the closest library or coffee shop. There should be some place around that has internet access where you can do your interview. Call in sick. Schedule the interviews outside of your current work shift and schedule. If you work with others in person, take your tie off or don't dress like you are interviewing. Depending on the type of job you currently have, it can really be an issue. Since interviews tend to be scheduled within 24 to 48 hours of the person contacting you, you may have to call out sick or say you've scheduled a necessary doctor appointment. Someone suggests saying, I have an appointment I need to attend. It's a nice ambiguous statement. If they ask for more info, just say, it's of a personal nature.
What if you're leaving your current job and you just want to work a second job? What should I say then? You shouldn't say anything. Hate to be so straightforward like that, but that's the truth. You should not go on a job interview and tell that employer the only reason you want to work at that job is so that way you can have a second job. Do not disclose that. The reason why is an immediate red flag to pretty much any and every employer, because no worker will be as dedicated to two jobs at the same time. So if you work two jobs, there's not going to be a job where you give 100% and then you clock into the next one and you give another 100%. No, there's going to be one job where you give like 80% and the other job you're going to half-ass, you're going to give it 20%. So no one wants to hear that this is going to be your second job. Another reason that employers don't like hearing it's going to be a second job for you is schedule conflicts. Because people who work two jobs often have a very tight schedule, can only work certain hours. Most employers want their employees to be flexible with the hours just in case anything comes up. So no, you should not tell people that you are looking for a second job. Just proceed with the interview. What you could say instead is that you're looking for new advancement opportunities, new employment opportunities, things like that.
I only do video interviews now, unless it's like a final round thing, so you can typically get away with more casual attire if the camera is angled to show only your face. Scheduling on your lunch break also helps, so you can avoid taking time off. Just say you have an appointment, none of their business what kind of appointment. We used to mess with our director by wearing much nicer clothes occasionally, just to make him wonder what was going on. That's a good one. Okay, someone has a longer point. So this thread illustrates why every employee should, from day one, sprinkle in suit days. Every once in a while, show up to work in a suit, or the interview clothes of your industry. When someone comments, the answer is, doesn't wearing a suit once in a while just make you feel good? Who's to argue with that? We all know people for whom dressing nicely makes them feel good. By establishing yourself as one of those people early, whether or not it's true, you set a standard that protects your privacy. Moreover, people do respect dress clothes, so seeing you in them periodically, if not regularly, is likely good for your image at work. And not only does this reduce the weirdness others perceive when you need to wear a suit, but it will also make other people who regularly wear suits feel more natural in them for their interview, which is something when something is at stake. I ended up quitting because I couldn't do it anymore. With multiple rounds of interviews, hours spent on searching, applying, research preparation, the dumb skills test, the personality test, it's a full-time job just to find a new full-time job. This is one of the big issues with the hiring process. Recruiters and employers need to realize that they don't want us if we have been fired, and at the same time, they don't understand we are trying not to get fired. If you can manage to get the interviews as late or early as possible, it will help. Remote interviews help too. At some point, you may have to give in. If you are actively and desperately searching for another job, there is no way to do this. For many jobs, it takes 3+ interviews to even get the job. I've been actively job searching, and I've been averaging 1 interview a week for the last few months. There would be no way in hell I could do this while I'm already employed, unless I was only working part-time. Someone says, I've never been able to do this, to be honest. I've always left and just looked for another job. Someone says, I try to schedule them in the late afternoon and then take a half day. Go home, change, then go. That's my best strategy. If that's not an option, I bring a change of clothes so they don't know. From July to August this year, I had nearly 30 virtual interviews. I did them entirely during my hour lunch break or immediately after work. I had my sights set on a work-from-home job, which I finally landed one in October, making $20,000 more than my previous job. My advice is don't lose hope. I got so many rejection emails and so many one-time interviews that seemed like they were going well, but ended up receiving the email, thank you for applying, but we chose someone else. A good employer will work with your schedule. It is exhausting, but it's all worth it in the end. Good luck. So if you're interviewing for a second job, or maybe even a third or fourth job, how's it going? Let us know in the comments. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. See you soon.